This video is the second half to the first video that we released on Friday, and the reason why we're splitting them up is because it's just too much to have into one video, and we don't want to shorten the content that much to where any of the key points are getting missed or overlooked or fast forwarded through. So this one's going to be more focused on the Portlight installation and the challenges that we faced while we were doing that, as far as filling the holes with epoxy, opening up the holes to put the thickened epoxy in, because most of the holes on this boat that we've encountered so far, the Portlight mounting holes are stripped out and no good. So we're going to refill them and re-drill them.
Here we are again. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, we're not going away.
Alright, so continuing to install more newly rebuilt aft cabin port lights.
We're, installing more port lights in the aft cabin. These are the rebuilt ones that we took home, rebuilt them, new seals, new lenses, all that. You guys probably saw that in one of the previous videos where we did the port light rebuild thing. So yeah, those are nice to have. They look like they're brand new when they're going in, and we just hope that when the rainy season gets here that they don't leak. So anyway, so we get to show you that we're doing that, installing one of those. But yeah, all in all, we're making good, steady progress, and we're learning how to do some of these things better all along the way. So it's fun. We're enjoying ourselves, and we definitely enjoy this project. It's a lot of fun, and it's going to be a long one, so stick with it. Okay, so you might be asking me, what's the blue tape for, and what type of sealant is that going around this port light here? Well, the blue tape is to stop the rain from coming in through the screw holes, because last time we left it was getting ready to rain out and we didn't want the water to come into the boat through those holes, and so we put tape over it just to kind of keep the water out. The sealant that we're using here is 3M 4200, not 5200. There's a big difference. 4200 is quite a bit more forgiving. It's made for above the water line. It still does a wonderful job of sealing. It looks just like 5200, but it doesn't come apart the same way as 5200. It won't rip the fiberglass with it, the gel coat, bend metal, all that sort of thing. Not that we're intending to pull these port lights out anytime soon, because we're going through a lot of trouble to get them in, but I just wanted to kind of go over that in case anybody else asks. So that's what we're using. You can see that we eventually got the extra fiberglass down below ground down flush enough that we're able to go ahead and mount this port light. So moving forward, we're going to go through a lot of details here on our trials and struggles of what it takes to get one of these in, to drill open the holes, fill them with epoxy, re-drill them for the screws that mount the trim ring, etc. So hang on and let's go through this. Please excuse any of the outside background noise. We are in a working boatyard, and we're also next to a road, so sometimes you'll hear cars go by, trucks, motorcycles, whatever, and you'll hear forklifts, the boat lifts, travel lift, that sort of thing, moving boats around in the yard and all kinds of other noises. So, and the wind, of course. So sorry for any of that. We don't have that good a microphone system yet, but we're making do. Alright, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and take the tape off the holes. I put the tape over the holes to prevent any rain from coming in overnight, since the last time we were here. So let's scrape that off. Plan for today, we're going to open up all these mounting holes where the trim ring's going to go, and then we're going to fill them in with epoxy. We're going to make the holes bigger than the need for the screw, and then we'll fill them in with epoxy, re-drill the holes, and that way the screw will have some, we'll put thickened epoxy in there, and the screw will have some fresh material to grab onto, because every one of the holes, see that? Every one of the holes has got just, you know, there and there and there. All the meat's tore out of them already, so we're gonna hook up the Dremel here, and we don't have to open up a lot, just enough to get the trim ring screw something to hook onto. So put my eye protection on here. That should be good. Now we're going to just kind of open it up a little bit with the drill motor. That way the epoxy has a nice surface to grab onto. So we're just going to go ahead and continue to repeat that process a few times over here until we get them all the way we want them to be. Now that one, guess that one should be alright. Alright, we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll get back. I'll turn the video on after that.
A few moments later.
So now you can see that I went ahead and opened up the holes, and then we're going to fill those in with epoxy, thickened epoxy, and then we'll let it cure, and then re-drill the holes. And the fastener should have a much better time gripping because all the holes are all blown out. So anyways, that's what we're going to do next. So continuing to move forward. All right, here you can see several of the screws have been opened up and drilled out a little bit bigger than the screw size is going to be, and we've kind of beveled the top edge of the screw hole to give the thickened epoxy a little bit more surface area to bite onto, and we're hoping that that's going to provide a good bonding surface for it as well. So yeah, it's coming along, and this is what it looks like when they're opened up and ready for the thickened epoxy to be spread in there. And yeah, it usually makes a mess, and then if we're going to leave, we'll put tape over it, and or if it's going to rain or something like that, we'll put the blue tape over the thickened epoxy, and that holds it into the hole really well, and it also gives it a nice way of protecting it from the weather. And the blue tape comes off really easy afterwards. We just scrape it with a scraper or whatever, and it comes off pretty easy. Okay, so now this Portlight's prepped and ready for thickened epoxy, and we're going to go ahead and wait on that for right now in case we need to mix them up for the other Portlight. We're going to move forward on the right-hand side aft cabin Portlight, and we'll get started on prepping that one for the installation. And we got a lot of cleaning, a lot of 5200 sealant that we got to remove off the outside and get it all prepped. So we're going to start on that next. And just a little tip, if you ever think about using that clear packing material tape like we have here, you don't want to leave it on very long because the UV tears it up, makes it weak and brittle, and it will not scrape off, it will not clean off or anything if it's left on too long. More than a week, you're pressing it. So we know this from experience. Can't get the 5200 off anyway, not easily anyway, so we're gonna go the aggressive way, which this calls for getting out the mangulator. It can be risky because it'll cut through the gel coat quickly, so we gotta do something. Well, that works pretty good. Better than scraping and grinding all day. Yeah, that comes off a lot better. A lot better than the other way. There we go. We'll just keep on keeping on here. It's making progress. Man, they put it on thick at the bottom. That's the 5200 remover right here.
Removing the 3M 5200 is no easy task. It takes forever. It's very labor intensive. We still haven't found the best way to do it yet, but this wire wheel and this wire wheel brush in the drill motor seems to be effective. But I caution you, if you're going to use this, please practice. It will tear through the gel coat in no time if you're not careful. There's a right amount of pressure and a wrong amount of pressure, and you don't want to stay in one spot for very long. So, and speed is helpful as well with the drill motor if it has high speed, RPMs. So we finally got it. It took a long time, but we didn't burn through the gel coat or anything like that. And so now we're ready to start prepping the surface and getting ready to start installing this port light.
That's the best way to get 5200 off right here. That thing works great. You got to have the right touch or you'll go too deep, but with the right touch and patience, it will take it off a lot easier than scraping.
Okay, so the next step's going to be to prep the holes for thick and epoxy. That means to open them up and widen the top surface area of the hole so the epoxy has something to grab onto, and then we'll let that cure.
All right, so here we go. We went ahead and opened up these holes, ground them out, wiped them with acetone, and I'm going to fill them up with thickened epoxy. Then we'll re-drill the holes, and the new screws will have something to grab onto. Went ahead and ground all the 5200 off here with a wire brush in the end of the drill motor. That worked out really good. You definitely have to be careful because it will go through the gel coat, but luckily behind here this won't be seen. There's a trim plate going around it. So went ahead, did the same thing for over here, and opened these ones up as well. So yeah, anyways, that's going to work out really good. So that'll give the screws something new to grab onto, because all the holes were here in here were all blown out, stripped out, because the whoever had it before just over tightened everything. Anyways, it's going to work out really good, so good to go.
Well, so here's what it looks like with the holes opened up. We went ahead and did all of them, even the mounting holes. There's extra holes here because I think at one time they had a different port light in here or something, but there's more holes than we need. So we'll just drill them and fill them all with epoxy, and then we'll only open the ones we need when we're mounting the trim ring on there.
So here's after I open up the holes, open them up, and then I'm going to fill them up with thickened epoxy, let it cure overnight, and then we'll go ahead and relocate these holes, re-drill them, and then the screws will have something to grab onto. And did a really good job of cleaning off all that 5200 that was on here. Man, that stuff is on tough, but found a new way to get it off. So using that drill motor with a wire brush in the end of it worked really good.
Okay, now with the outer and inner surface prepped, we got the holes prepped, and we had the 5200 removed. Now it's time to go ahead and get that next port light installed in here. We want to get done with these things. They take me a long time to put them in.
Here we are in the process of installing another one of the port lights. Man, these things are a pain, but What I've done is I've potted every hole and re-drilled, relocated, re-threaded every hole, so we get a nice snug fit. We don't want one of these blowing out if we're out in a heavy storm or something like that. So anyways, yeah, it's looking pretty good. We got that one in, that one in, and we still have that one to go and that one to go. So we have 2 more to go back here in the aft cabin, but we're getting there. Process is getting better for sure. Yep. Anyways, that's what we got going on. Struggling all day today to try to get these all prepped and ready to go. I had to, on the outside there's these trim rings that go on these things right here, and so every one of the holes for the trim rings had to be all potted and filled also, but I had to open them up and, you know, clean out the holes and everything and rebed them, or, you know, repot them with thick and epoxy. So that seems to be the trick, but it's just a slow process, especially when you're putting the new threads in, when you're putting the screw in for the first time. You have to go really slow. It's a lot of, you know, turn it a little bit, back it off a little bit, turn it a little bit more, you know, just to keep going in so you don't break that potting. You don't want to put too much strain on that potting when it's going in. Hopefully it'll, you know, it should be a good bond anyways, it would hold, but just to be on the safe side, because I've had a couple of them pop out and had to repot the whole batch. I think it was my mistake, and I've done better with all of them since then. So, but yeah, this is cool. We got 3 port lights in the aft cabin, 2 more to go, and then we'll have all the port lights installed in here. So that'll be cool. That'll be a nice big step forward. And so far it's been raining, and good luck so far. These have not been leaking, so which I'm really happy about that. And we don't want any of them to leak, but hopefully they won't. So anyways, but and then we did not put them back in with 5200. I did not use 5200. I used 4200 UV, which is still a really good bond, but it's not as horrible to work with as 5200 is. And then on the outside, behind these trim rings, I'm using butyl tape to bond to make the seal between these and the deck. So there's no leaks. These have not been leaking, so, which is a really good thing. But anyways, that's where we're at, and you know, time will tell if it's a good process or not. Hopefully they won't leak ever, but if they do, then they're not impossible to take out. We'll have good holes for the screws to come in and out of. Those will be threaded nicely. None of them have stripped, and we're making progress. It's just really slow. It does not go as fast as I would like it to.
So what do you think? Progress looking good here or what? It's coming along a little bit. Okay, transitioning to the outside of the boat, we got a lot of work to do on the outside of this port light. We need to do some sanding, some fairing, and smoothing that surface, get everything all prepped and ready for sealing.
Alright, so we're gonna have to get a block sander and start sanding some of these down. There's a little high spot here and here, and then down here I can't get to it with the sander, so I have to do it by hand. Right here seems to be okay though. Right here is high. Yep, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get the block sander.
So next we're going to use a block sander. It's just a little hand sander, and it's got a flat surface on it, and it's really good for taking down the high spots and the unevenness. and because we don't want any of that around there, especially on a sealing surface. We want to have it try to have it as flat as possible so that it'll seal really good. Even though we're using butyl tape, and butyl tape is a really good and forgiving type of bonding sealing gasket type material, it works really good. We still want to have this as flat as possible. We always want to try and do good work wherever we can. We don't want to get used to just good enough or doing it sloppy. So we're always trying to do nice, good quality work, no matter if you're going to see it or not. And eventually we're going to gel coat over this area and fair everything in and all that stuff later on down the road once we learn how to do that sort of thing. The next thing we're going to do is check it with some kind of a straight edge just to verify we removed all the high spots and there's no unevenness or gaps. And then that'll be it, and we should be ready to start sealing this area up. Okay, it looks pretty good. One of the next steps we're going to want to do is going to want to clean this down, so we're going to wipe it down with acetone. Acetone evaporates really quick, so it's a good cleaner, and it'll get the surface prepped so we can start getting ready to seal this up. Okay, now it's time to mask everything off, and we like to use that blue painter's tape. It works really well, and will protect this from getting any rain on it while the seal is curing. So it's always nice to put that on, and it comes off pretty easy as well. So we just taped around all the edges here, and now we're ready to go ahead and seal. Okay. This time we remembered to tape off around the visor as well. We learned the hard way, but we do learn a little bit over time, so we're getting there. So yeah, we just went ahead and taped all the way around, preparation for sealing. We're going to be putting a lot of seal in here, closing up all this gap, and making it weather tight. So that's what's coming up next. I also misspoke earlier. We're using Fix 8 this time instead of 4200, but we have been alternating. We were using 4200. I think we ran out, and so this was the next tube we had, and this stuff works just as well. And we're going to be putting a trim ring over this, and it's going to be bedded down with butyl tape. So as long as we're not using 5200 and we're not using silicone, we should be in good shape. Okay, here I'm using the rounded end of the popsicle stick to fair it in. Use that to fair in the seal with. It leaves a nice contoured rounded edge for the seal, and less work and less cleaning we have to do. And it'll spread the excess out evenly. And looks like we're a little bit low here, so we'll probably grab some from at the top and spread it around. But yeah, using the rounded end really helps. I've always found that when I'm working with seal, I don't want to try and be a perfectionist with it. You get to a point on seal where it's as good as you're going to get it, and if you keep playing with it, it's going to get messed up, and then you're going to end up starting over, or you're going to have a big mess on your hands. So I just get it as good as I possibly can, and then I'm like, okay, I got to stop playing with this junk and move on. And so that's what we're doing here. We're wrapping it up. We got it looking good. Here's a couple still shots of the seal job. You can see we did fine work on the seal here. Looks good. All right, so we got it all taped off, got the seal injected in there, filled in all the voids, and now it's going to be time to pull the tape off. And that'll show how nice the tape is for preparation. And it's very windy up here, the whole boat's moving crazy. Back when I used to do a lot of aircraft sealing, the technique for tape removal that I found works best is you pull it away from the seal at an angle towards yourself, or up and away, or down and away, but not towards the seal, but away from the seal. And it's also best practice to pull the tape while the seal is still wet. Don't wait till it cures, because then it's not going to come off as easy. It may tear on you, may stick, do all kinds of things. So pull it when it's wet. One last step after the tape's been removed is, hopefully I still have a clean finger, and I just wet the finger with some saliva, and then I ferret in with the tip of my finger, and I'm pushing the seal into the groove around the frame of the port light, and just ensure there's no voids in there, and anything that's raised up a little bit will now be flush with the surface or slightly concave inward. But this is important because that way it pushes all the seal into the slot. Alright, so we got it sealed in. Weather's not cooperating real well today. It's very windy, and anyways, blow my rags around and everything else. So we're gonna call it good for now. This is gonna work out really well, and then we'll put the trim ring on at a later time, and we'll put some we'll use lots of butyl tape. It'll turn out really nice. The other one turned out good too. So yeah, so we're not gonna go ahead and locate these holes today, just due to the weather's not cooperating, and I feel like it's going to rain here real soon, so I'm hoping this seal's going to be alright. Anyways, that's what's going on. Here's a couple still shots of our seal job. I think it turned out pretty good considering the weather was horrible, the wind was blowing, the whole boat was shaking, and considering that we're on the hard, the boat is actually on stands on land, and the boat was shaking in the wind. I was kind of wondering if it's supposed to move around that much, but anyways, the seal turned out great. We're not going to locate the holes today, and we'll go ahead and tape this off and save it so that if it does rain, because it looks like it's going to, it's not going to ruin the seal. And before we stopped for that evening, I went ahead and sealed it on the outside real quick, and then we taped it off to prevent the rain, because it was going to rain that evening, prevent the rain from getting on the seal while it was curing. And so this port light has finally been potted in around the sides and the gaps and everything, and it's ready for the next steps. And then check out what's going on back here in the back room. Right on, look at here. Oh, look. Hey, we have a window open here. That's right. Another port light installed. And it's raining out. I have the blue tape on here because I knew it was going to rain, and I sealed on the outside, and I want to keep the water off the seal while it's setting up. So, but yeah, if you look, 1, 2, 3. 3 port lights are installed now, so things are happening, although very slowly, they are happening. So, yep, we have lots of opportunities back in here, but that's okay. Nothing we can't handle. Okay, well, if you made it this far into the video, then here's your parting shot for the day. Look at the aft cabin. It's really turning out beautiful. What do you think? Does it look better, worse, or about the same as when we first bought it? Let us know what you think. We think it's coming along pretty good. We know there's a lot of work left to do, and we're working on it one step at a time. We'll get there.
Okay, so thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
You enjoyed this week's video and the work that we show you.
Yep, we had a pretty good progress. for this week, and we're continuing to move forward. We're trying to improve on what was new and make it even better along the way. So yeah.
Yep, and we're always excited to see it, even just a little bit of progress.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm really happy with that. I feel really good about the work we're doing, and I think that's just going to make the boat even stronger in that area. So,
Like
yeah,
us.
exactly. Challenges make as long as you get through them, everything's better and stronger in the end. So
Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe down below.
ding.
Stay tuned.
Yep, stay tuned. We really appreciate you sticking with us and being patient. We're trying to show you as we go. So we'll get better on that along the way as well. So see ya.
ya.
Now there's a nice looking shell. I'd keep that one.
And what's that?
My idea. Oh, we got a boat coming. It's this guy. Nice. Dang. 5 engines on the back. That was sweet.